Welcome to What If Realm, where one question changes everything. What if history took a different turn? Let's step into another reality. What if the greatest secret in Westeros was never hidden in the shadows of shame and silence, but instead nurtured carefully under the banners of honor and truth? What if Jon Snow never grew up believing he was a mistake, a forgotten child born of weakness, but instead understood that his blood carried the legacy of dragons and kings? In this alternate timeline, Ned Stark makes a different choice when he returns from Robert's rebellion, standing beside Lyanna Stark's dying body in the Tower of Joy, holding the newborn child who carries both Stark ice and Targaryen fire. Ned realizes that hiding the boy as a bastard may protect him from Robert's wrath, but it will also deny him identity, confidence, in preparation for the dangerous world ahead. Instead of burying the truth completely, Ned entrusts the secret to Howland Reed and a small circle of loyal allies, choosing to raise the child openly as his protected ward rather than his illegitimate son. Jon grows up knowing he is different, knowing his name is Aegon Targaryen, but also knowing that he must live quietly until the time is right. Ned teaches him restraint, humility, and responsibility, shaping him not as a reckless prince, but as a thoughtful future leader. Jon trains alongside Robb, earning respect rather than jealousy, and forms strong bonds with Sansa and Arya. Catelyn struggles at first, yet over time comes to respect Ned's honesty and the boy's disciplined character. Jon does not suffer from isolation or resentment. Instead, he develops confidence, emotional balance, and a calm sense of destiny. As Jon grows older, he becomes observant and intelligent, listening carefully to the political conversations held in Winterfell, learning how alliances shape kingdoms and how power can corrupt even honorable men. When King Robert Baratheon arrives in the north, the moment becomes dangerously tense. Robert notices the young man's commanding presence, his subtle Valyrian features hidden beneath northern coloring, and his natural confidence. Though Robert laughs it off with crude jokes and nostalgia, something unsettles him. Ned carefully presents Jon as the son of a fallen loyal family, raised under Stark protection. Robert accepts the explanation on the surface, yet the seed of doubt lingers in his mind. Jon, however, recognizes the danger immediately. He understands that the truth, if revealed recklessly, could ignite another war. When Ned is offered the position of Hand of the King, Jon urges him to accept, believing that influence at court is safer than isolation. Instead of remaining in Winterfell, Jon accompanies Ned to King's Landing, marking a turning point that reshapes the fate of the Seven Kingdoms. In the capital, Jon quickly senses the rot beneath the golden walls. He observes the Lannisters with cautious distance, noting their quiet control over the guards and treasury. He watches Littlefinger's manipulations and senses that every smile carries hidden intent. He notices Varys gathering whispers like a spider weaving webs of secrets. Jon's disciplined nature earns respect among the guards and knights, many of whom recognize his fairness and strategic thinking. Tyrion Lannister becomes intrigued by the young man's intelligence and engages him in conversations about history, leadership, and power. Together, Jon and Ned uncover the truth about Joffrey's parentage faster than in the original timeline. But instead of confronting Cersei immediately, Jon advises patience. He understands that truth alone does not win wars. Preparation does. Quiet messages are sent north to Robb and the Northern Lords, urging readiness without raising suspicion. Supplies are positioned, alliances quietly strengthened, and loyal men placed in key positions throughout the city. When Cersei attempts her move to seize control after Robert's death, She is shocked to find the Stark household reinforced and the Gold Cloaks divided in loyalty. A brief clash erupts within the Red Keep, but Ned survives. The realm does not descend into sudden chaos. Instead, a controlled political fracture begins to spread. Asterisk news of the succession crisis ripples across Westeros, but this time the North is prepared. Robb does not rush blindly into war. Instead, he coordinates with his father and Jon, organizing banners strategically and forming defensive alliances. Letters bearing proof of Joffrey's illegitimacy reach key houses quietly, sowing doubt in the crown's legitimacy. The Riverlands and the Vale hesitate to support the Lannisters, while even some southern lords begin to question their loyalty. Jon steps into the role of diplomat, speaking calmly and respectfully to nobles who might otherwise dismiss a young man. His ability to balance Stark honor with political realism earns him admiration. He demonstrates that leadership is not merely about swinging swords, but about knowing when to strike and when to wait. Ned begins to see Jon not only as a protected child, but as a genuine statesman in the making. Asterisk across the narrow sea. Daenerys Targaryen hears whispers carried by merchants and exiled spies. A dragon lives in Westeros, raised by wolves, trained in honor rather than cruelty. At first, she dismisses the rumors as false hope. But when multiple sources confirm similar stories, curiosity transforms into longing. Instead of viewing Westeros purely as a land to conquer, she begins to see it as a home she might return to alongside family. Her ambitions shift from revenge to restoration. Though her dragons continue to grow and her power still expands, her emotional path becomes steadier, less driven by isolation and rage. She begins planning diplomatic contact rather than immediate invasion, envisioning a future where dragons unite rather than dominate. Asterisk meanwhile, Jon turns his attention northward. Reports from the Wall speak of wildlings fleeing in fear and dead men walking beyond the forests. Unlike the original timeline, Jon has authority, resources, and political support to respond early. Reinforcements are sent to the Night's Watch. Cone glass mining begins in earnest, and alliances with the Free Folk are negotiated peacefully instead of through bloodshed. Jon recognizes that survival demands unity beyond old grudges. When the White Walkers finally push south, they encounter a realm that is prepared rather than divided. Castles are stocked, armies coordinated, and dragonglass weapons distributed widely. Humanity still faces devastating battles, but not extinction-level chaos. Strategy replaces panic, and cooperation replaces selfish ambition. Asterisk as political stability gradually forms in the south. Jon's identity can no longer remain hidden. With evidence secured and alliances stabilized, Ned and Jon reveal the truth of Jon's birth to select houses. The revelation shocks the realm, but it is not met with immediate violence. Jon has already proven himself honorable, intelligent, and capable. Many lords begin to see him as a bridge between old rivalries. Star-crazed Targaryen, who represents unity rather than domination. Robert Baratheon, had he lived longer, may have struggled with the truth. But in this timeline, the revelation emerges after his death, avoiding personal vengeance. The realm must now decide, not between hatred and loyalty, but between chaos and stability. Asterisk, when Daenerys finally sends emissaries west. The possibility of reunion reshapes the political landscape entirely. Instead of two competing Targaryen claimants, the world witnesses the potential of alliance. Jon approaches the idea carefully, emphasizing balance rather than conquest. He understands the dangers of unchecked power and seeks to guide Daenerys away from impulsive destruction. Their eventual meeting becomes one of cautious respect, curiosity, and shared purpose rather than immediate romance or rivalry. Together, they discuss rebuilding rather than ruling through fear. Dragons become symbols of protection rather than terror, reminding the realm that strength must serve life, not dominate it. Asterisk as the final conflicts approach. The realm faces its true enemy not in rival houses, but in the cold darkness beyond the wall. The united armies of the north, the southern kingdoms, the free folk, and eventually Daenerys' forces form a defensive shield against the long night. Battles are still brutal. Sacrifices unavoidable, but leadership grounded in preparation prevents total collapse. Jon emerges not as a reluctant hero burdened by doubt, but as a balanced leader shaped by honesty, discipline, and early responsibility. He carries the calm wisdom of the Starks and the courageous fire of the Targaryens, embodying harmony between duty and passion. Asterisk in this alternate world. Destiny is not rewritten by prophecy alone, but by a single honest decision made years earlier in a lonely tower in Dorne. By choosing truth, guided by wisdom, instead of fear, driven by secrecy. Ned Stark gives the realm a leader prepared to face both political storms and supernatural darkness. Jon Snow, or rather Aegon Targaryen, grows not as a shadow seeking identity, but as a light guiding others toward unity. Westeros learns that power does not always corrupt when guided by humility, that bloodlines matter less than values, and that the greatest victories come not from conquest, but from cooperation. The story becomes not one of tragedy and betrayal, but of redemption, foresight, and hope. And in this world, the Song of Ice and Fire does not end in ashes, but in balance, proving that sometimes the smallest choices reshape the fate of kingdoms. Asterisk. Every story has another path. Asterisk if you enjoyed this journey. Like, subscribe, and tell us what if you want next. This is What If Realm. See you in the next reality.